An estuary is such an ordinary place. A bit of sand and mud. Some grass to mark where a river meets the ocean. It's difficult to imagine the value of such a place. On a mountainous coast like British Columbia's, estuary marshes are short, often extending no more than 100 meters along a river, crammed in between the steep side hills and the sea. An estuary is the entire region where the salt water of the ocean is diluted by the fresh water of a river. Twice a day, the marshes are flooded by the tide. When the tide drops, fresh water from the river fills the channel and salinity decreases. Animals which can move out with the tide do so. Those which cannot move can survive for only a limited time in fresh water. For them, death can come as easily as from a prolonged spring runoff. For the few species which can survive in an estuary, life is harsh and is easily destroyed. Eelgrass meadows flourish beneath the surface. The meadows provide a rich habitat for estuary life. Grasses are a base of life in an estuary. The annual growth and decay of eel and sedge grass is the fuel on which the estuary runs. Most of the grass is consumed only after it is dead. Any piece of dead grass is quickly covered by bacteria. The combination of plant and bacteria is called detritus, and is the major food of estuary animals. The isopod is one of the primary consumers of estuary detritus. The amphipod resembles a small shrimp, but is actually the common sand flea. The amphipod lives out its life among the estuary grasses. In their turn, the organisms which eat detritus become food for larger life forms in the complex food webs of an estuary. Feeding goes on continuously. The feather duster worm uses its tentacles to catch the particles of detritus snowing down upon it from above. Rich clam beds exist on the estuary bottom. The Makoma clam, growing no larger than 1 centimeter across its shell, uses its siphon like a miniature vacuum cleaner. The clam sucks detritus directly from the surface of the mud. At the outer reaches, barnacles feed on microscopic forms of plankton. The barnacles cannot survive in the fresher waters of the inner estuary. In the inner reaches, fish prey on the animals which eat the grass. Fish depend on estuaries. An estuary can be a home, a nursery, or simply a place they pass on their journey to the sea. Young salmon spend varying amounts of time in the inner reaches, growing strong by feeding on the amphipods. Man is as much a part of estuary food chains as the plankton or detritus feeders. Without estuary marshes, we would lose 3 species of Pacific salmon. Without estuaries, there would not be the thousands of birds along the Pacific flyway. Migrating waterfowl find food and shelter in the marshlands. Snow geese and dabbling ducks feed directly on the grasses. Diving ducks eat the detritus feeders, the clams and crabs that live along the estuary bottom. For something which is so important, man has been careless of estuaries. On the coast of British Columbia, almost all flat land is estuarine, making competition for these areas intense. Mudflats and marshes are shallow and can be easily filled to make new land for industry and housing. The marshlands of the Fraser River have been reduced by 75%, and plans are underway to reduce them further. Man must learn not only to find a place for himself, but also to find a place for nature. It is so easy to be careless of an estuary. An estuary is such an ordinary place.